What are your visions of yourself? You see, all of this business about if you get tired, how many of you get tired? You don't have to get tired. I don't get tired. When it's time to go to sleep, there's no insomnia in my life, and there doesn't have to. Insomnia is one more of those things where you start telling yourself, I'm not going to be able to sleep. Look, you've been out, you're partying, you're at a convention, you're in New Orleans, get into bed, let's say, and it's 2 o'clock, and you know you got to get up at 6. You look at your watch. All right, it's 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock? 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I were to fall asleep right this second, and I'm not even close, all right, I'd only get 4 hours of sleep. Here it comes, ready? Great imagery now. Boy, am I going to be tired tomorrow. Whew! Oh, I'm going to be tired. That'll keep you awake for at least an hour, all right? Your body just kind of goes, oh, my God, and you start interfering with it. Your mind starts programming you, all right? Now, an hour later, you look at your watch and say, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. 3 hours. Now you upgrade your neurotic expectations for yourself. I'm going to be a zombie tomorrow. And then when you get out of bed and the alarm goes off, if you sleep, what do? You start counting backwards now. 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. You put your body instantly on droop. Kind of put your eyes sort of on bag. Don't expect anything out of me today. I didn't get any sleep last night or whatever. Until someone comes along halfway through the day and says, you know, we got a game tonight and we're going to go out and have a few drinks and we're going to, hey, that's great. Yeah, I think I'd like to do that. It's a choice. You ever notice how tired you get when you got something unpleasant to do? You know, you look at the lawn equipment and look at the roller and the edger. I'm going to lie down for 3 or 4 months. I'm really tired. It's a choice. If you just tell yourself, I don't need to think tired thoughts. When I tell you that the kind of visualization I'm talking about can end asthma, asthma is an easy one. Anybody who's suffered with asthma, and I've had a stepson who's had it, he holds on to it and he believes it and he wants to hang on to it, and that's it. He's going to have asthma until he doesn't want it anymore. And I tell him that and he just gets mad because he wants to hold on to his asthma. And he gets a lot of attention for it, and he gets a lot of people to remind him that he's sickly and that he can't do this and do that. And so he gets a lot of positive sort of affirmation for his negative reaction. I have seen people eliminate a lot more than asthma. When people ask me, what kind of a therapist are you? Where do you fit in? You know, are you a behaviorist? Are you a rational emotive therapist? Are you Freudian psychoanalyst? I call myself a do-do therapist. And I really mean that. A do-do therapist is someone who believes in the great secrets of the universe. One of the great secrets that you'll read in Icus is that I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. And not one moment before. I mean, not one of you who knows how to swim by watching somebody else do it or listening to somebody else give you instruction. You know how to swim because you got in the water and you flop around and you fill your mouth up a few times and then eventually you do. And you know something? What do you think is the difference in your physical skills between the moment before when you couldn't swim and the moment afterwards when you did let go and could swim for the first time? You think your physical skills are any different? They're exactly the same. We all know how to swim. Now you believe you can. And when you believe you can, you just do it. You just do it. And if you can't ride a bicycle, there's a woman who came to me and said, I can't ride a bicycle. My parents wouldn't let me. My mother would never let me get on a bicycle when I was a little kid. And I had these big white teeth and she was afraid I would break them. And I said, okay, that's great. Let's go. She said, go? Where are we going? She wanted to sit in the office. I said, I've got a bicycle downstairs in the garage, and we'll just go on, and I'm going to teach you how to ride a bike. You think I'm paying these kind of prices to come here and have you teach me how to ride a bicycle? I want to know why I can't. I said, oh, well, you didn't say that. That'll take another 30 seconds. You can't because you never got on one. And as soon as you do, and are willing to fail and fall down a few times, then you'll know how to ride it. And until that, you can blame mama forever. But it isn't going to change a thing. If you want to change something in your life, if you want to quit smoking, you don't need to go to the shit clinic. You don't need to go and poke holes in your cigarettes, so you get a hernia. trying to get that nicotine down into your lungs, and a little bit less each time. And they have now a thing out called poo-poo spray. I don't know if you've seen this, but it smells like poo-poo, all right? And you spray it on your fingers so that every time you go, oh, no, I won't be having any of those today, no. Now, you don't have to do that. What you do is, the first thing you do is you see yourself as an ex-smoker. You just see that. You visualize yourself there, and you take credit for having such a wonderful picture of yourself. You do that first. And then the second thing you do is you tell yourself how easy this is going to be. This isn't hard. There's nothing difficult about quitting smoking. You just do it. You just don't put cigarettes in your mouth, one day at a time. That's what you do. And you don't tell yourself, I'm going to want them, I'm going to get fat, and all of these you don't do that. You stop the blame, and you do it. You want to lose weight. You see yourself looking the way you want to look, instead of going on a diet. Everybody I know on a diet is fat. And if you change the way you see yourself, then when you've eaten enough, you stop. You just see yourself in a different way. You stop that. No, I don't want any more. You say, I think I'll exercise a little more. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do some kind of exercise. I'm going to walk. I'm going to get myself on an exercise bike. I'm going to go to a dance class. I see myself this way. Now I'm just going to act out on that instead of saying, oh, it's so hard to quit. It's just so hard to lose weight. I'm so depressed. I think I'll have some candy as soon as I get over that, And I had a person come up to me after a talk one time and said, Dr. Dyer, you mean to tell me you never get depressed, ever? I said, of course not. She says, oh, that's depressing. Oh, that depresses me even more. You see, it depends on how you see yourself.
Every book of the Bible has been calibrated. All of the great songs have been calibrated. The calibration goes like this. Over here to my left is a calibration of 0. And as far as I can go on this stage, let's say up to the speaker, represents 1,000. The energy level of 1,000 to here. All right? Now, anything that goes up to number 200 on this scale that I'm just arbitrarily giving to you, let's say 200 is right here, represents something called force. And every thought and every emotion that you have that calibrates between 0 and 200 is a thought or an emotion that weakens you in one way or another and lowers the energy field. And those calibrations, those thoughts, I'll give you the number 20 is the lowest, and the thought is shame. And this, by the way, is a 29-year study that was conducted over almost his entire professional lifetime. This is a medical doctor and a PhD researcher as well. At 30, we're moving up now. 30 is guilt, 50 is apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, until we reach approximately 200. Now, every energy that is below 200 is an energy that when you have that thought, the thoughts of humiliation, of blame, of despair, of anxiety, of hatred, of scorn, any of these kinds of thoughts, these thoughts are in what he calls force. And whenever you use force as a way of communicating, a way of talking, a way of being, you create, the problem is that we create a counterforce. And that people who calibrate below 200 in their lives, and anyone can be calibrated at any time. Even photographs can be calibrated. The photograph on the cover of A Spiritual Solution to Every Problem calibrates around 580. And it was a picture that was taken in Assisi after just an astonishing miracle had happened in my life. You have to, it's almost like I said yesterday, you have to willingly suspend your disbelief. You have to do a somersault into the inconceivable and allow yourself to open up to the possibility that every thought that you have and every emotion that you have and every internal experience that you have has an impact not only on you, but as I'll demonstrate to you in a few moments, on everyone that you encounter in your life and everything that you encounter in your life and whatever energy field that you radiate to. So we're talking 0 to 200, but this scale isn't a scale that is consistent all the way through. When you get to a number of 600, which represents extremely high energy, you were talking about maybe a few thousand people on the entire planet Earth today, out of the 6 billion or so of us, who reach this level of consciousness of 600. When we're talking about moving into 7 and 800, we're talking about the greatest spiritual masters who've ever walked among us. People who live at the level of the ineffable, who are unconditional love, and have what Patanjali says, he said, when you become steadfast in your abstention of thoughts of harm directed toward others, listen to that again, when you become steadfast in your thoughts of harm directed toward others, all living creatures will cease to feel enmity in your presence. If you're steadfast in abstaining from a thought of harm, and never ever have a thought of harm or judgment directed toward others, because you have to know that when you judge another, you do not define them. You define yourself as someone who needs to judge. Calling someone else stupid or foolish or evil or whatever does not make them that. That just says something about you who needs to put those kind of labels on other people. So that if you can become steadfast and become an individual who never, but never has a thought of harm directed toward others or judgment, which is almost impossible for all of us who live at these ego levels that we've been conditioned to live at. But if you can conceive of yourself as being someone like that, all living creatures will cease to feel enmity in your presence. St. Francis of Assisi is someone who calibrated in the 900s. Maybe 7 or 8 people in the history of the world have calibrated above 950. Francesco's, in fact, the city just to the north of us, about 40 miles, was named after this little man, St. Francis, who left his worldly belongings behind and just took out to save the church. And he spent the last 2 years of his life up in a place that I visited with my wife a few years ago when I took a group of people to Assisi at Mount Suribasso. And the last 2 years of his life, he had to have his hands and his feet and his side bound so that he didn't bleed to death. Such was the energy level of this being. Hawkins suggests that any person who calibrates at 600 or higher, Mother Teresa calibrated at 600. When Mother Teresa walked into a radio studio where I was on the radio that morning, everyone in the room felt her presence. She weighed about 90 pounds. It's about 4'10". And she radiated out a different kind of an energy. And he suggests in Power versus Force, with his academic and research background, that anyone who can raise their calibration level to the level of 600 or higher, everyone in that energy field is automatically healed. Disease cannot survive when you are around that kind of energy. They said of Jesus, his presence in the village and nothing more would raise the consciousness of those around him. He suggests that only one person in the history of humanity has ever reached this level of 1,000, and that was Jesus of Nazareth.
Every single one of these are something that I know you've used, or if you haven't, you're living with someone who does. So here are the top 18. First one, if I want to change, it's going to be difficult. Change is difficult. It's a meme. Whether it's true or not, we're going to examine a little bit later. It's going to be risky. In other words, if I were to do this and try this, whatever it might be, make these changes, it's going to involve risk. It's a meme. It's a mind virus. It's going to take a long time. You know, it's taken me 40 years to become this way, and I've been living this way, so it's going to take me another 40 years. Well, you don't have 40 years. You know? But nevertheless, it's going to take a long time. If I were to do and live the kind of life that I would like to live, there's going to be family drama. There's going to be people out there, aunts and uncles and in-laws and they're going to, if I wanted to move to Montana or if I wanted to take up a new career, there's going to be huge family drama. Total meme. Whether it's true, mostly unlikely, unless you decide that that's what you want your life to be. I don't deserve it. A meme. How could there be anything out there in this world that you don't deserve? You are a piece of God. How could the source, how could God create something, anyone that isn't deserving of all of the abundance and all of the prosperity and all of the love that comes from the source? It's not my nature. Your nature is a meme. The idea that that you're shy because you can't do anything about that. It's not my nature. I can't afford it. This is one of my all-time favorites, and I'll deal with it a little bit later in the program. The idea that you can't afford to do something is one of the largest mind viruses that have been placed upon you, and it's something that I would urge you to never say again, that you can't afford to do something. Do not ever allow money to be a reason why you don't fulfill your dharma, your destiny, and what you're here to do. And I can tell you, coming from the background that I came from, living in foster homes, living on the east side of Detroit and working my way through everything that I've had, that I've never, ever, ever thought that I couldn't afford to do anything, including go to the university and pay my own way and whatever. Are you listening, my children out there? No one will help me. How many times you've heard people say, I'd like to do that, but there's no help out there. I just can't, nobody's out there. There's 6 billion people on the planet. They're all waiting to help somebody. Almost all of them want to help you with what it is that you want to do, unless you carry around this mind virus that says, I'm all alone and I can't do anything about it. It's just a meme. It's never happened before. So because something has never happened before is exactly the perfect reason why it'll probably happen the next time, unless you have that mind virus. I'm not strong enough. I'm too weak to do what I would really like to be able to do. It's a meme. I'm not smart enough. You're all geniuses. Every single one of you. You're all genius. You've just let yourself become de-geniused by life. I have a son-in-law, his name is Joe. He didn't go to college, but he came over and put a wood floor in our house that is so beautiful. He spent several weeks on it, getting down on his hands and knees, measuring everything, and he walks on it. If I had to do that wooden floor myself, it would never have gotten done, because he can do that, and there's other things that I can do. He wouldn't want to be up here giving this talk. Maybe he would. But everybody has within them a genius and should never tell themselves, I'm not smart enough. And it's something you would never, ever want to convey to your kids. The rules won't let me. So that the rules ought not to be reasons why you do or don't do anything. One of my great teachers, Henry David Thoreau, reminded us about the importance, not the importance, the necessity of civil disobedience. That all these rules that we have, when my beautiful mom was born in 1916, she was 4 years old before women even got to vote in America. And the women, half the population of our country was not involved in any decision making in the first almost 200 years of our history. How absurd that is when we think about it now. And how did that change? Because people said, the hell with those rules. I don't care whether it's legal or not legal. If it's not moral and I have rules within me, I have to go to those. These are memes. I don't have the energy. I'm too tired. It's a meme. One of the commitments I made, and my kids have never heard me say it, is that I'm tired. It's a word that I stopped saying in my early 20s, because I used to hear people talking about that all the time. I'm so tired, I'm so tired. And the minute that you tell yourself that you're tired, your body begins to react to the thought that you are programming it to be. So if nothing else, just stop saying it. And, well, I'll get onto that later. My own personal family history is the reason why. I'm the middle child. What do you expect from me? And no wonder I'm confused. I don't know what else I'm doing. Oh, I'm the youngest child. I'm the youngest child. No wonder people are always telling me what to do, and I just wait for somebody to tell me. Or I'm the oldest child. No wonder I have a superiority complex. I've been telling people what to do since I was born. So on. Or my parents were divorced when I was 4 years old, and and that's why I can't get ahead in my life. It's a meme, and we hear this. So much of therapeutic talk is just convincing people about what they can't do, about what their excuses are, telling them because this happened to you when you were a child. Everything that happened to you as a child had to happen. The evidence for that? It did. And if it did, then you either deal with it and move on with it and learn from it, or you use it as an excuse. And I've used that over and over in my own life as well. And it's something that you want to take a real hard look at. I'm too busy. The final two were the most frequently cited. I'm too busy. And I'm scared. It just frightens me. I live in fear. The Course in Miracles says there are only two emotions in this world: fear and love. Fear, everything that is fear cannot be love. Everything that is love cannot be fear. So you must hear an awful lot of talk on the television and reading the newspapers and so on about all the things that we have to be afraid of. You don't want to live in a place of fear.